Okay, so today I'm reviewing the BBE BMax-T. There doesn't appear to be many reviews of this on YouTube, so hopefully this is helpful to someone. I've balanced it here on top of my cab. It's a bass preamp with a tube in it, hence the T in the name. They offer a solid state version as well, called the BMax without the T, but I've never tried one of those, so I can't comment on its sound. I have here an earlier model with the black knobs instead of the current one which features red knobs. I've also got the other model, and I have to say this one's actually easier to see because the red one, the red knobs have just a hole drilled in them, so it's quite difficult at a glance to see what they're set at. So if you're on a dark stage or something, this one's actually far easier to see. But I suppose if you're the set and forget sort of guy where you set it and never change it again, that's not really a problem, and the red ones look really great. Feature wise, this is inputs for both passive and active, so basses with preamps or hotter outputs, whatever. The active one obviously just has a resistor in line in the circuitry, so the voltages reaching the internal circuitry are the same. It's also got a bright switch to boost frequencies in a frequency range, which is plus decibels at 10 kilohertz, but I think I'm going deaf or something because I can hear a huge difference. But that boost is relative to the EQ being set flat, so perhaps that's my problem. See if you can spot a difference later. The one drawback I would say is there's no clip input like LED on the inputs, so you can't tell when you're clipping the input. So you can try and listen out for it, but it is tricky. That's the one drawback I would have. I mean, it'd be helpful as you're setting the gain like any other ample preamp to know when you're sort of clipping the input. So the tube inside can't be overdriven for fuzz. If you're looking for fuzz, whatever, don't get one of these. See if you can find something like an SWR interstellar overdrive or something. Obviously you can add warmth and added harmonic content, but talking of warmth, it does get kind of warm at the back where the tube is, so best to put it at the top of a rack rather than underneath your amp, and let your amp go in to protect that sort of things. Make sure it's well ventilated at the back because it does get kind of toasty warm. The tone stack in this is a Fender tone stack. You can read all manner of details on the internet regarding this design, such as I think early Marshalls copied it. The tone controls in this are interacting, so according to the manual, flat is treble at 0, no it's not, treble at 2, middle at 0 and bass at 2, but this is mildly confusing as the manual shows the mid numbering going backwards to what is here. So it shows it as 10 far left and 0 as far right, which is different to the actual unit here. And also refers to the middle as being able to go to -10, but that doesn't match the numbering on here. If you set the bass and treble and at 5 and mid at 0, you'll get nothing out. But that is according to the manual. It says if you set the bass and treble at 0 and mid at -10. So I think whether the numbering is to go -10 to 0 to +10 rather than 0 to 10. Other people state that it goes flat is 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So it's a little bit confusing. Or is it 2 o'clock, 10, 2? Anyway, it's pretty confusing. The treble is boost only, offering 15 decibels at 6 kilohertz. The mid is cut only, offering 15 decibels cut at 300 hertz, and the bass is boost only, offering 15 decibels at 40 hertz. There's also a very useful parametric mid-range control, so you can get plus or minus 12 decibels from 250 hertz to 1 kilohertz. There's this single knob soft knee Opto compressor, which has fairly fast attack and release from what I can tell. Due to the attack knob being really fast, you can get some peaks through. Like if you do a burst mode or burst noise test, you can see that the first burst of noise is not caught. As the switch it in now, this will light up orange when it's actually doing something. The numbering on it is 0 to 10, but it's basically this level control is a threshold control, so you can think of it as -10 to 0 rather than 0 to 10. So the thing BBE are famous for is their sonic maximizer, which sort of does reverse phase smearing so that frequencies reach your ear at the same time. I'm not sure how it does this because they'd need to know where your ear was compared to the speaker distance wise, but the blurb at the beginning of the manual relates that high frequencies are time delayed by a speaker compared to low ones, so this compensates. Whether that delays the low frequencies compared to the higher, I'm not sure, but it needs to be used in moderation, because turned up high it sounds strange. Yeah, so it's got a low contour boost here, which provides a maximum of 10 dBu at 50 Hz. So that's 50 Hz, that's 40 Hz. There we go. I mean, other BBE units they've got, like the Max Comp, the maximizer is either on or off, sort of. Whereas this has a variable control on it. If we look internally, we'll see that the sonic maximizer is just a small integrated circuit as a chip, as is the compressor. So it's not digital, but it's just an integrated circuit inside. And the patent number on the back is not the actual patent relating to their sonic maximizer. If we have a look online, you can find out what the patent is. And my cat's just come in. Hello. Yes. Yes, and that's his tail. So let's have a look at the back of it. Yeah, yes, move out the way. So there's Footswitch controls here. I've never used a Footswitch myself, but you can get an optional one. So there's the BBE for turning the BBE processing on, and the compressor control for turning that on and off. There's also ground lift if you want to, if you've got ground home or something, or want to risk electrocuting yourself. There's the DI out, which is actually a Jensen transformer. I mean, those transformers are £70 by themselves, so it's quite a useful thing to have, even if you're never using the BBE processing. Also, the main out is the unbalanced. This is balanced, and the main volume control on the front will control both of them. Hopefully that's still in focus for you. The effects loop is mono, obviously. The BBE processing is done after the return. I've never used the effects loop in this. My cat is going to sit on this unit. I do apologise. They do state in the manual you can use this obviously for sending to a tuner. The tube's here, and to change it you'd have to take the lid off, so there's a couple of screws there and a couple of screws on the side, I think on the front, and it comes off. You'll see the circuit board inside is fairly spartanly laid out, but it's well laid out, and the tube's fairly accessible and sort of stays put. Anyway, we'll have a listen to it after we've got rid of Humphrey the cat, who is purring his head off, aren't you? Yes. Anyway, let's have a listen. Promotional video including cat. Okay, so for the video demo here, I'm recording using a Focusrite Saffire Pro 14 into just via the DI to the DI out on the back of here. I'll try to hold the camera, and I'm using a Warwick Dolphin Pro 2 because I don't have any Fenders or anything, so which is unfortunate really, because most people recognise the sound of a bass as a Fender. The pickups on this are sort of fairly close to the bridge, so if I roll onto the bridge pickup it sounds quite honky, so I'm going to stick everything in the middle between those two. I'm using the passive input because the active I have to really crank the gain, and we'll turn the bright off for now. The controls are set here at what everyone says on the internet, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Assuming the numbering originally went -10 to +10, which it doesn't. So here's with it first. let's turn the bright switch on, and I'm now going to roll onto the neck pickup, so it sounds a bit more boomy. Let's try it with the compressor dialed in. See if we crank the compressor here. See, even just doing everything slightly within. See, hardly anything's coming out. Nothing. So let's leave it about there. So all the bass down, see how thin it sounds. Not very much, so let's roll it off completely. If you crank the mid, I wager that the bass will go up. Not a little bit anyway, so as we can see from this, the controls are interacting. Now let's put in the sonic maximizer, and as you can see the low contours, they recommend originally everything's at 5, so this is obviously the 50 Hz boost. So, if we take off the bright switch and put the pickups back on middle, or let's actually try the pickup over to the bridge. Let's try the low contour down and turn this up to see the craziness that these hues. Horrible, isn't it? So let's put that back up. Let's turn this down. See, you never really want to put it up more than that. So. Let's put it back on the mid between the two. What should we try? Put the bright back on. Let's roll off the treble. See if we can get a bit. And the pickups between the bridge and the neck. crazy. Let's see if we can get a nice scooped tone. So, rolling onto the neck pickup. I can't seem to get a nice scoop tone with this, so I prefer the mids. So let's try this. Push the mids a bit. Hopefully it's been helpful anyway. You can see it's a variety of different sounds you can get out of it. The EQ takes some getting used to, especially if you're used to more modern systems like on Class D or digital amps where the EQs don't behave particularly like an old classic Fender one. I mean, particularly the boost only and cut only for certain controls takes some getting used to. But it's still worthwhile. You can get some decent sounds out of it. I mean, if we take that off and try and do this lap again, it just sounds different. So try it on. So definitely sounds different. Good little bass preamp, really. I mean, it's not too warm at the moment. If you use it with sufficient ventilation, it's absolutely fine. I mean, it's a good unit.